does technology affect human perception of reality? Technology affects us in more ways than one, and it affects our senses, especially by enhancing them to a specific reality. Scientists wouldn't make technology if they thought it wasn't going to make a difference or change anything. So most technology is used to change our perception, and I'll explain why in a minute. But how does technology change our perception of reality as a whole? New realities are being shaped for the future. For example, augmented reality is a virtual world. It's an example of reality change for technological advancements. Another example are children, and they are the reason that technology is advancing because they are the future. Scientists wouldn't make technology if it wasn't going to help something and change the reality, which I stated a slide before. This is an example of the augmented reality. As you can see, it's a metaphor because it is a picture of a building in like an environmental type situation in a dollar bill, and this is like showing like the richer part of the world, I guess you could say, and engaging the different subjects that are like throughout. Augmented reality. So augmented reality is a new technological system that allows introducing virtual contents in the real world to run in the same representation and in real time, enhancing the user's sensory perception of reality. Now this is a quote from Chichi Digolili, which I probably messed that up and I apologize. So it is also by Irene Alice and et al. So that is a picture of the author, and she is currently working at the Institute for Research and Innovation in Bioengineering. So, as I stated before, the future is affected by the children. Children who passively watch television, even those programs that are labeled educational, are not engaging the world with nearly the same level of intensity opponents maintain. So this quote provides an example of how television technology, television is a type of technology, affects children without acknowledgement of what's happening. So these educational programs that are on the TV screen in front of these children may not always be what the real world has to offer. So, for example, you see Barney as a children's show, and it's going to teach them how to like live and teach them like educational purposes, of course. But have you ever seen a purple dinosaur like running the streets? No, not really. So that is an example of just simple, like, obvious things that children are gonna like. They're gonna see like costumes of people, but they're not gonna see like the real life. So the stimulus packet, which I did not mention in the beginning, the stimulus packet provides many different examples of senses, whether it's from Alice Through the Looking Glass or the historical context and stimulus numbers D or E. And so this is the extrasensory perception, and it says we digest most digital data through tiny two-dimensional screens on mobile devices. And then later goes on and says, as the amount of information about the world explodes, we find ourselves less able to remain present in the world. So this is a good example of how the tiny two-dimensional screens are basically developing our perception of reality, and it's also developing our new technology that we use. So now some may say that technology is nothing but a positive effect. And an example of how it could take a negative turn is by manipulating humans' genes makeup for the sake of increasing life expectancy to tantamount to playing God. If lifespan extension became a reality, overpopulation and competition for natural resources would become bigger problems than they already are. So life immortality could become a global issue due to the technological advancements in which research are currently looking into. Aforementioned as a negative impact on the world as a whole through the lens of many different cultures, religions, and the public eye as a unity. Now, I'm not saying that technology is a negative effect or an awful thing. I am saying that technology is changing the world, and for some, not in a positive manner. So some examples of how electronics in particular, as a part of technology, could be limited. This could cause a very small but effective change in the amount of technology we use every day. So children could have limited screen time, and this could affect many different things. It could affect our eyesight, the children's eyesight, and later on, just different views on the world as a whole, without expanding their knowledge to other countries, for example. There could be age restrictions on certain devices, such as cell phones, because cell phones seem to be the new stereotype for teenagers, tweens, and children, like even small children. We could offer more hands-on activities when technology is involved. For example, in the school place, instead of placing a tablet in front of a child to teach them, we could have more just labs, like chemistry labs, but not actually like chemistry, more of like just hands-on activities that allow them to figure things out on their own rather than just handing them the answers. And creating public technology-free zones, for example, in restaurants. And this last point could increase manners for children by teaching them necessary table manners, which seem to be a problem in the modern day age. And as a result, overall, technology needs to be limited before it gets I don't want to say exaggerated, but before it gets too much to where it takes a negative turn on humanity. So then this is my work cited. The end.
Okay, so just one question for you. How did your research question evolve as you moved through the research process? And did your research go in a different direction than you originally planned?
So in the very beginning, my research question was, how does our senses affect the perception of reality? And it turned into, how does technology affect our senses by enhancing them into a certain perception of reality? And this happened because it was too broad to the point where you had to either pick a sense or make sure you use all of your senses, but using something that will affect all of your senses. And it did take a different turn than I was expecting, because I was hoping for, I guess, a simpler, like, just an overall, like, how does our senses, like, specifically, like, if we were blind, how does that change the way we perceive the world? If we were deaf, how would that explain, like, the world?
Thank you.